So let's go in depth tonight, right now, with our courtroom insider, Sue O'Connell. Sue, let's zero in on the witnesses from this week, right, who testified, and they're making some headlines, all the headlines that they've generated. There's certainly a few this week. We're going to start with Officer Kelly Dever. Why did she completely walk back her earlier claim that she saw top law enforcement figures near Karen Reed's SUV the night that all of this happened? And what does that sort of flip-flop say about the pressure that's happening behind the scenes in this case?
So even if you take Officer Dever at her word that she told federal authorities she saw the department's then Chief Ken Berkowitz and another man, Brian Higgins, alone with Reed's SUV for, quote, a wildly long time, she says now that it was a false memory. She wasn't even at work when that happened. So if we take her at her word, she just now becomes another member of law enforcement who got something really important wrong at best, or, as some have been alleging, succumbed to alleged pressure to protect fellow officers. So either way, not a good look for the prosecution.
Well, let's talk about the snowplow driver, right? Lucky Lochran, I believe is how you say his name. He testified this week that he passed the Alberts home. He said he passed by it multiple times that night and never once saw a body. So if John O'Keefe was in the snow that night, how does this add up? Make this make sense. How did the prosecution cross-examine him to try and make sense of this?
So, of course, the prosecution saying Karen Reed hit John O'Keefe around 12:30. He was on the lawn until he was found in the 5 a.m. hour. Loughlin, a seasoned plow driver, a Zamboni driver, so why didn't he see John? And I think he may have been the best witness on cross in this entire trial. Another bit of reasonable doubt for the jury to consider.
Well, but what about Dr. Daniel Wolf? He was the crash expert. He told the jury that the damage to Karen Reed's Lexus SUV, that it does not match John O'Keefe's injuries. So how is the state arguing that she hit him?
Well, Wolf did show video after video of a vehicle hitting an arm and a dummy and saying it proves she didn't hit him. But this does counter the prosecution's expert, who we think may come back on rebuttal next week. So the Commonwealth will tell us again that they say Karen Reed clipped or sideswept John with her vehicle.
All right, finally, I want to touch on another character in all of this from this week, Dr. Marie Russell, a returning character. She testified that O'Keefe's injuries came from an animal in the first trial. Now, I thought this is kind of interesting. Now she's saying a dog. She's certain that it was a dog. What changed? And how much does that change help the defense?
It helps the defense a lot, and time is what changed because she's had more time to do it. Look, there's no certification for dog bite expert, but Dr. Russell is definitely an expert in many areas. The defense saying John wasn't hit by a vehicle, those wounds were from a dog, and Dr. Russell agrees.
Just to confirm, Dr. Russell was a trauma doctor, right?
She's a trauma doctor, an ER doctor, a former Malden police. I mean, we could go on.
Right, so she would have an idea of, what this sort of stuff looks like. All right, Sue, as always, thank you for joining us. Make sure that you at home are following Sue on our social media. It is at Sue NBC Boston. And don't forget, you can catch her weeknights, 7 o'clock for Canton Confidential, the Karen Reed murder trial, breaking down everything that happened inside that courtroom with all of our legal experts.